Welcome to this first episode of Coop's Corner. My name's Cooper Sweckhammer, and I'm going to give you a little introduction about myself. I'm a student at Central Michigan University, and in my sophomore year, studying media arts with a double minor in sports communication and journalism. And I'm an active UFC fan. What I want this channel to be is to be a channel covering all breaking news and giving predictions for upcoming events or like numbered cards. First up, we have UFC 324 in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is their first event on the newly signed platform in Paramount Plus. In the main event, we have Justin the Highlight Gaethje versus Patty the Batty Pimblett, which, in my opinion, is an interesting way to start off a new partnership. Originally supposed to be 2 title fights, but unfortunately, Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes was pulled from the card due to an unfortunate injury on Kayla Harrison's side. So before we talk about the main event, I want to talk about the main card as a whole. I think it's a good main card to start off a partnership, but I want to go through each individual fight. So in the first fight in the main card, we have Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva, which in my eyes is the best way to open up a main card by giving Gene Silva an opportunity to show people that he's still one of the best fighters at the top of the featherweight division. But I also see it as an opportunity for Arnold Allen to get back into title contention with a nice win over a fighter like not Diego Lopez, but a fighter who has fought Diego Lopez, who is challenging for the title next weekend. But a quality opponent who has quality wins, such as Bryce Mitchell, but did hit a bump in the road in Diego Lopez and Gene Silva. I see this as a fight that will go one of two ways. I think it will be either really just all-out brawl with Gene Silva pushing forward, wanting to go out there and get the finish early, or it'll be a little bit more of a patient fight, trying to establish that he doesn't want to take unnecessary risks in this fight. But in my eyes, I do see Gene Silva having that motivation to want to get back into title contention or fight for the title next, depending on who wins next month. Not next month, but next week, when Volkanovski and Diego Lopez fight. I see Gene Silva winning this fight, and I see him getting it done in an exciting fashion. So next up we have, in the flyweight division for women's, we have number 6 ranked Doug Rose Namajunas versus number 2 ranked Natalia Silva. This fight was brought to us due to an unfortunate injury on Alexa Grasso's part back in December last year. I see this as an absolute win for fans because it'll be an exciting fight. It's a top contender in Natalia Silva, who many people think she should be on the verge of a title shot, if not have already gotten it. And also, I see it as a win for Rose if she is able to get the win, because it gives her a win over quality opponent against Natalia Silva, but also is an opportunity for her to really establish herself as a true threat. In total, it'll make it so both fighters are able to establish their claim for a title shot potentially. And so we'll have to see what the UFC does with Natalia or Rose after this fight, because I know there were rumors coming out that Valentina Shevchenko might want to go up to bantamweight to challenge the winner of Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison. We were supposed to get that winner this weekend. Unfortunately, it is being pushed back. When do I think that fight will take place? Most likely, I feel like it might take place in later 2026 maybe, or possibly there will be an interim title between maybe Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko. I know they've had their fights in the past at bantamweight, but maybe the UFC will want to have it as an interim title. If not, I see it as a late 2026 or maybe even the White House. I don't know for sure yet. But back to this fight, I see in my eyes, if Rose wins the fight, I see it as an absolute win for her. I see it as she has one of two options. It is either that she is going to fight for the title, or if she is able to make it a win in spectacular fashion. If it's a little bit more on the lackluster side, like kind of how, I don't want to say how it was, if it's similar to her Carla Esparza fight the second time, maybe the UFC will take a look at it and say we need to rebook Alexa Grasso and Rose if Alexa Grasso is able to get the win done in Seattle against Macy Barber. If Natalia wins, I see it as she has undoubtedly made her claim for the title shot next. That being said, once again, we don't know what's going to happen with Valentina Shevchenko. It's all up in the air, but I see it as one of two options for her. It's either that there's going to be an interim title, or it is going to be for the actual title against Valentina. Who do I think the interim title will be against? I see it as potentially, if Manon Fiorot is able to come back and get a win, I see it possibly being Natalia Silva versus Manon Fiorot. If the UFC sees it as Manon Fiorot does not need a win, maybe they give him the interim title. I am very unsure. Or we still do not know what's going to happen with Weili Zhang. Maybe she wants that shot at a title again against Valentina Shevchenko. But I see it as Zhang Weili having to go back down to strawweight. If not, having to fight again in the flyweight division to make a claim that she deserves a rematch against Valentina Shevchenko. In my eyes, this fight has major title implications. But that being said, I do have Natalia Silva winning and making her claim for the next title shot. Next up in the featured bout, we have an interesting fight. We have Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis. There's not really much for me to say about this fight besides it's a heavyweight fight. It's a really nice heavyweight fight where I see it as not going through a decision whatsoever. If Derek Lewis's claims of him being in the best shape of his life are true, or to be believed, I should say, I see this being a Derek Lewis win. I know Waldo Cortez Acosta has had some great quality opponent wins, but maybe here Derek Lewis's experience in the octagon so far against quality opponents, his losses have not been to just like bums at the bottom of the roster. They have been to quality opponents. Just to name a few of them: Cyril Gane, Sergey Pavlovich, Sergey Spivak. Those are just some of the really good fighters that he has fought. And those are some of the fighters that have fought either for the title or have fought at the top of the division. Now, do I think Waldo can get a win? I do see it as a possibility. I am very unsure with this fight. It is very much in the air. I do see it as not maybe a featured bout on the main card, the third fight onto the main card. I see this maybe as an main card opener. But due to the unfortunate pullout of Kayla Harrison, this got moved up to the third fight on the main card. Do I think it will still be a great fight for fans? Of course. I think it will be well worth like a ticket to have seen the fight, or just tuning in on Paramount Plus. I think it will be a great opportunity for both fighters to go out there and just have a good fight, I'd say. That being said, once again, if Derek Lewis's claims are to be believed, I see this as an undoubted win for Derek Lewis, and I see him getting it done in a pretty good fashion. In this past couple fights, I've seen nothing but good things come out of it, and I've been excited to watch him. So let's see what he's able to do against Waldo, and I see it as a Derek Lewis win. And him being a little bit on the older side, who knows what he wants to do next? Does he want to go for the title again? Does he want to make a run at the title, or does he want to just have exciting fights? But Derek Lewis by either knockout or TKO, in my opinion. So next up, we have the co-main event in Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Sonya Dawn. I see this fight that sets both fighters up for the future with a win. It's an opportunity for Sean to get back in the title contention or even get the title shot, depending on what the UFC wants to do with Merab. If the UFC wants to give the title shot to Merab immediately in his next fight, like they have said, I see it as how long does Merab want to sit out for. I do see it as an opportunity for maybe O'Malley to jump the line if Merab wants to sit out an extended period of time and get a little bit more of a new game plan for Piotr. But I also do see it as the UFC may be seeing it as an opportunity, because many people in the first Piotr Jan Sean O'Malley fight did debate whether or not Sean won. So I see it as an opportunity for maybe the UFC to book Piotr Jan versus Sean O'Malley 2 in a 5-round fight. That being said, he's got to get through Son Yudon. I see Son Yudon giving O'Malley a really good fight, but I also see it as an opportunity for where Sean has to find himself again. He has to find himself like he had in the Chris Motino fight, the Piotr Jan fight, even the Aljamain Sterling fight, or even like the Marlon Vera fight in the rematch. I see this as not a easy fight for Sean, but an opportunity for him to have found himself again. Now, knowing what Sean has said about him maybe considering retirement at the end of 2026, maybe Son will use that to his advantage. Son is a very young fighter, and I see it as a great win for Son. But that being said, does the UFC see Son as that star that can jump Merab for the next title shot if Merab wants to sit out? Maybe not, maybe so. But Son has got to get it done in spectacular fashion if he wants to get that title shot next. But that being said, I do have Sean O'Malley winning this fight, with him having the motivation to want to go out there and win. But it's at the same time, does he have that motivation? I see it as maybe he does have the motivation. He's back to his old antics. With him in the next upcoming fights press conference, where it was a little bit of just many people saw it as questionable, but him going up with the mask up to Yadong in their face-off at that press conference, maybe he's back to his old antics, but it's up in the air whether or not I see it as a win for Sean. It is a really not toss-up fight, but I see this as a stylistic matchup that both fighters need to be at the top of their game, but I do see it as a win for Sean O'Malley, either by knockout or TKO, or even just an exciting 3-round fight. I do not see it being a split decision. It'll be a unanimous decision one way or the other, in my opinion. Finally, what we have here is the main event, and Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. This fight is one fight that is kind of debated around fans, but I do see it as a interesting fight. I do see it as a good fight for that Paddy may not deserve, but also has made it very clear that he is one of the top at the division with his win over Michael Chandler. But it also brings an interesting storyline. With him and Ilia Topuria having beef in the past, it is a very good way to get Paddy the title shot faster now that Ilia is a champion at 155. Do I think that's going to happen? No. I do see Justin Gaethje getting the job done, but it's going to be hard. It does raise questions. Why were either of them chosen over Arman Tsarukyan? I don't know. Dana White has come out and said that him headbutting Dan Hooker in their face-off did have something to do with it, but I don't think that's entirely true. Arman had his opportunity last year against Islam to fight for the title and pulled out during the weigh-ins, which led Renato Moicano to fight for the title, which made it so that it was kind of an easier win for Islam. But at the end of the day, this is the fight that we got. I do see this as a fight where Justin is going to have to go back to his old self, kind of like a fight where we saw him against Michael Chandler. But I do see it as an interesting opportunity for Paddy to shake things up if he is able to get the job done. Once again, I am firm on Justin Gaethje winning this fight, but I do see it as he's going to have to mix in his wrestling, because what we saw against Paddy and Michael Chandler is that Paddy is able to last on the ground. I do think Justin will have to mix in takedowns along with his hands. But if each of them stick to their game plans that they have planned out with their coaches, I think it's going to be an interesting fight. And each one of them could get the job done. That being said, Justin Gaethje becomes a 2-time interim lightweight champion and faces Ilya in either April or June. Now, what's going to happen with Ilya? No idea. Many people are speculating that he's not going to come back. He has already claimed that he's going to come back through April through June. So I do see it as an opportunity where if either of them take significant damage in this fight, like a big cut or anything, I do see it as a fight where maybe it will go into June and possibly be a White House title fight. Now, if none of them are as injured in this week, we had in their interviews, Paddy has said that he's not going to fight in April. In my eyes, that's not going to happen. I see it as he's going to do what the UFC tells him to do, or it's either that or the UFC really just sees him as their next star and gives him his wish of not fighting in April. But at the same time, too, Ilya is one of those stars, and with knockout power, and has had quality wins such as Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, knocked out all three of them. So I say Ilya gets to call the shots and not Paddy. If Ilya wants to fight in April or May, Paddy will have to fight in April or May if he doesn't take significant damage. If he does, maybe it goes until June, maybe it goes into July. I don't know. But one thing's for sure is Ilya will be coming back this year, and we will have this whole thing of who's the real champion if Ilya should have been stripped, put to rest. I do see it as the storyline getting finished, but once again, fighters are wanting to go up a weight class to challenge for that second belt. And Ilya is no different. Ilya wants that Islam fight. What does he do next? I see it as he has to face Arman in order to get that Islam title fight at 170. But that's going to do it for this episode. Main card starts at 9 p.m. now on Paramount Plus, which I see it as an interesting way now. Instead of 10 p.m. Eastern, I see it as a way for more fans to watch because it's free, but also because it's a little bit earlier. It's an hour earlier, so I see it as a good way for marketing. That does it for this episode of Coop Corner. Next week, I'm going to give you my reactions to UFC 324 and also a little bit of a preview for UFC 325 Volkanovski versus Lopez. Thank you all for watching. Have a nice day.